Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us and allowing me to present my career progression and a little bit about Schneider. So again, my name is Kathy Maas. I'm an account director at Schneider in our logistics and supply chain management division of Schneider. And basically, I've been with Schneider just shy of 19 years. Schneider's really the type of company that you can be hired on right out of school, and we see a lot of retirements. So we aim to hire to retire. So I've been there for 19 years, and I've really had a pretty great progression over the course of the last several years. At Schneider, we help our customers move freight or cargo from one point to another. Sometimes they're on orange trucks, and in logistics, sometimes they're on other colored trucks, and sometimes they're not even in trucks at all. It could be ocean containers or air freight, but it's the service that we offer to our customers moving their freight. And how did I decide on transportation and logistics? Well, for me, it was really the luck of the draw. I went to school for international business, and it was a local company that had potential international work that I would have the opportunity to work on. Other companies I was interviewing with did not have that international capability. So naturally, I wanted to try to utilize my degree as much as possible, and found out pretty quickly that logistics is pretty great, and I love the transportation industry, and it fits really well with my background. In terms of my education, I did go to St. Norbert for a 4-year degree program, and my major was international business, and I have a double minor in Spanish and economics. I think economics has been really important because there are a lot of, the transportation industry, is judged by a lot of different analysts, and it's really great to be able to understand what the analysts are saying about the industry and what rates are doing and what's just overly happening throughout the transportation industry. So economics is always something great. A business degree is very helpful. And if there are any transportation related classes, supply chain related classes, those would also be very helpful to somebody interested in pursuing a logistics career. In terms of my career path or my progression, it's not always really been a straight line up. My first role, I started out on our rates team. It was a very basic role. It wasn't terribly exciting, but it was a really great way to learn the basics of transportation and logistics. I showed up every day. I did the best I could to go above and beyond and take on more responsibility. And it had nothing to do with international. But because I took on the initiative and really tried to learn as much as I could, very shortly after I started, I had the opportunity to move into a role that dealt with international freight. And I participated in helping a customer book freight on international vessels, and it was project cargo. I audited invoices and things like that. And throughout my career path, I've had the opportunity to do some international freight in various different areas, but certainly not the entire career path. I think the longest amount of time I spent was about 7 years. I was a purchasing manager, and that's basically where I had an account or multiple accounts that I worked with their buying team or their purchasing team to secure capacity. So basically, I hired a Schneider and I hired other companies to move the freight that my customers needed to move from point to point. And in that role, I really learned the importance of communication, of knowing, trying to know what's going to happen in the future so that you can solve for the future problems today. And a lot of logistics is trying to plan for the future and make sure that you have really good processes in place to ensure that issues don't happen along the way, and that you do things as efficiently and effectively as possible. As you can kind of see on the slide here, you can see that I'm not always moving. Actually, it's not a straight line up. I started out kind of at the lowest level, at an entry level, and then I moved up, and then I stayed kind of at that same level, had multiple jobs at the same level before I moved up again. And then I maybe had to take a step back before taking another step forward. And, when you work for a company as large as Schneider, there are many different opportunities to learn about various different areas of the company. So it's not like you're stuck in one spot and you have to stay there your entire career within the company. They really encourage you to try different things and really add tools, put tools into your toolkit to be able to use them later in life. So in my current role, I am responsible for managing the work my team does, and ensuring that that the team or that we're doing it in a profitable manner. So if costs are going up, I need to find a way to increase the revenue we're getting from our customers. If for some reason we can't get that increase in revenue, then I need to look for ways to decrease our costs, but still maintain that service level to the customer. If needed, I need to mobilize other teams within Schneider to help support the customer and make sure that Schneider is meeting our expectations. But basically, at the end of the day, I try to manage my portfolio of customers as if I were the owner of the company. Because obviously, if I'm spending my own money, I'm going to be as careful as possible in spending it on the right things, and not spending it just to spend the money. Also, things that I do in a director role, even in management roles, there are lots and lots and lots of meetings. It could be internally with your team or other teams within the organization, but then meetings with customers as well. As a business in the service industry, coordinating communication, that happens every single day to be sure that businesses run properly. And when it doesn't, we need to seek to understand why, and how do we avoid that same issue from happening in the future. So we do a lot of root cause analysis. If a shipment or a process is flawed, we try to seek out what is causing this issue and what is the way to fix it for the future. A lot of the job that I do is very commercial in nature. It's very forward-looking and strategic. So how is my customer looking at the future, and what changes are happening? Maybe are they merging or acquiring another company, or maybe divesting a portion of their business? And how can we help them be prepared for that? If we are using more resources than we originally planned, how do we increase revenue with them? And then what my team focuses on really are continuous improvements. So how do we help our customer continuously improve their processes and obtain cost savings? We work on day-to-day shipment issues and any gaps in communication. In terms of advice for students, in logistics and with most industries, communication is incredibly important, whether it be written or verbal, conversational or formal presentations. I really encourage you to hone your communication ability and be willing to ask questions. And what is your ability to influence others to do things, to take action? Another item would be to be open to continuous improvement, continuous learning and development. If you don't take the initiative, your employer might not do it for you. So you need to take it upon yourself to continuously learn, read trade publications, listen to podcasts, be in the know. Couple of other things, be willing to work or do work that may seem below you or not your job, as it may lead to opportunities for you to work above you and test your abilities to grow. So just because you feel it might be below the work you're doing now, it might gain some trust with your leadership to give you the opportunity to work on harder things. And be collaborative, work with others, communicate well, seek input and advice, and then give that same back. And then last but not least, make sure you're choosing the right company. What is their culture? Do I see myself fitting in with the way that they operate and do business? How long have people been there? I mean, clearly people aren't going to stay in the company for 19 years if they really don't believe in the company itself. But that's basically what I have to share today. Any questions?
Great. Thank you, Kathy. That was really interesting. Talking about your job as an account manager, do you find with your accounts that you have like a regular schedule of freight movement for a particular customer every month, say, or does it really vary widely from month to month?
I think it really depends upon the customer and the type of industry they're in. We have some customers, for example, automotive, that are very, very scheduled. Everything is static from week to week, month to month, because you're constantly feeding the manufacturing, or you're constantly feeding the dealerships with their parts and things like that. And then you have other things like the medical industry, where all of a sudden everything just takes off like crazy. So it really depends upon the industry. Some can be very dynamic, and you have to be prepared and looking ahead to see what might happen. And some might be very static in nature. And a customer may vary between those two as well.